Before I get started, I'd like to kindly ask that you hit the like button and please subscribe to the channel for more content just like this.
Do or do not. There is no try.
So the first episode of the Book of Boba Fett is now streaming on Disney+. And this show very much feels like, especially in the opening moments, a Boba Fett highlight reel. We get visions of Kamino, his planet of origin. We see young Boba Fett holding his father's head after Mace Windu chopped it off.
I don't remember asking you a goddamn thing.
And then we get kind of a glossed over version of his escape from the Sarlacc Pit. Something that a lot of Star Wars fans have wanted to see for a very long time. I personally feel like it should have been treated like more of a bigger deal than it actually was in this episode. It's almost like they are only showing it just to incite a reaction from diehards, but it kind of just came off like a member berry to me. Like there was nothing behind it. It's like, hey, just a reminder, but this happened. In fact, a lot of this episode has a lot of member berry action going on.
No shit.
It's fine, I guess, but I personally need a little bit more than just some nostalgic feelings to convince me that I'm watching a good show. After his escape from the Sarlacc Pit, we see Jawa stealing his armor, and he's basically then enslaved by some Tusken Raiders. Even though we can't use the S word anymore, right, Disney?
Son of a bitch.
This may be an unpopular opinion, but if it was me, I never would have shown Boba Fett unmasked. I understand that we already know what he looks like thanks to the prequels revealing that he was a clone. But the whole reason that Boba Fett became popular with OG Star Wars fans was because he was a mysterious figure. And the more they show him without his helmet on, which is a lot in this episode, the more he loses that mystique. I get it, it's not ideal for a TV show to have a main character who never reveals his face. But that's kind of the beauty of creativity because you have to find a way to make those things work.
That makes sense.
So basically we come to find out that Boba is in a water healing chamber in present day. And the flashbacks that we've been seeing are dreams that he's having when he's under. It'll be interesting to see if that same story structure is used throughout the whole course of the show. It's very Godfather 2 in the way that it's jumping back and forth between two timelines. And I have to admit, of the two timelines, the past timeline is infinitely more interesting to me. And I'll explain why as I continue on this review.
You'll see.
I do have to briefly mention the special effects in this show, which do look a bit cheap at times. I don't know if they are working with limited funds or not, but it is something that I noticed. In present day, with Fennec at his side, Boba is trying to make the transfer of power to him as seamless as possible. And it feels like Fennec and Boba Fett have slightly different philosophies about how he should rule. Boba shows more compassion than his predecessors. He wants to be a more feet-on-the-ground type of crime boss. His desire is to rule with respect, not fear, which is a very typical trope of organized crime stories.
I'm going to make him an offer he can't refuse.
And this is a philosophy that Fennec questions, so we'll have to see if this causes more friction between them as we move forward. As Boba and company are walking through the streets of Mos Eisley and he's trying to be as down-to-earth as possible, they are actually attacked. And Boba Fett gets his ass kicked again. I think maybe they are trying to tell a story here where he doesn't have the skills that he had before, but he feels like he still does.
I'm too old for this shit.
Either way, I do not enjoy seeing Boba Fett look so weak. Fennec, on the other hand, when she's in battle, looks like she's straight out of Assassin's Creed. She's jumping on rooftops, she's having her way with the would-be attackers. I expressed concern that Fennec would receive the bait-and-switch treatment at some point during this show, and that the idea was that they were eventually going to make her the real lead of this story. I'm not ready to say that that's definitively what is happening, but you could kind of see the seeds of an idea like that being planted here.
Man, I'm tired of being right.
Anyway, a very injured and beat down Boba Fett has to go into the tank again, so we get another flashback. And we have Boba getting walked through the desert, very similar to how Clint Eastwood gets walked through the desert in The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. Just like The Mandalorian, there are a lot of classic Western themes running throughout the Book of Boba Fett.
Whoa, whoa. Here I come. Oh, here I come. Oh.
So we have the Tusken Raiders who use their prisoners to basically dig up this fruit that contains water. I assume that this is the main source of water in the Tatooine desert. While digging, Boba and the other prisoner encounter this very large four-armed creature that honestly looked like something out of Clash of the Titans. They are attacked and Boba Fett eventually gets the upper hand and he eventually strangles the creature. And he and the remaining Tusken Raider deliver the head of the creature back to the tribe. This earns the respect of the Sand People and Boba is given one of the water fruit as the show ends.
Game over, man. It's game over. What the fuck are we gonna do now?
I assume that this was intended to be the origin of his rule with respect ideology. Being a huge fan of Boba Fett, I have to admit I wasn't all that interested in this first episode. It was fine, I guess, but it has a lot of the same problems that typical Disney Star Wars has, where it feels like they are trying to make something that feels like old school Star Wars, but comes off more like an imitation.
Why do these things always happen to me?
I'm not entirely sure how I feel about the idea of the badass loner bounty hunter suddenly wanting to run shit and basically work with other people. I understand that they're telling a story with the flashbacks of his character's transition into this new way of thinking, but again, it's still getting away from what made Boba Fett so popular to begin with. I think maybe a straight up bounty hunter story or a revenge plot would have been a bit more digestible for his character. The best route for Boba Fett, in my opinion, is to keep it simple.
Besides that, it's on the reflexes.
I'm going to give it time and allow this story to play out, but as of right now, the new direction that they are taking with the character makes him feel less interesting to me. It wasn't a bad episode, it was just kind of there. It basically serves as a reintroduction to the character. But I'm still going to have to give episode 1 a careless Sam Gerard.
I don't care!
So have you seen the Book of Boba Fett Chapter 1? If you have, let me know what you thought about it in the comments down below. As always, please like, comment, share, subscribe to the channel. Hit that bell for notifications, and I'll see you next time right here on Real Shift. Thanks for watching. Peace out.
Y'all be cool. Shut up.